are you doing? This is Justin Bratton, and today I'm going to be presenting to you the art of fly fishing. First off, I would just like to share that all of the video footage and photographs are my own personal experiences from last spring to last weekend. To begin, let's discuss the origins of fly fishing. The first period of massive improvement within fly fishing was sparked by two men named Isaac Walton and Charles Cotton, who wrote The Complete Angler in 1653, which is ranked third as most printed text in the English language behind the Holy Bible and Pilgrim's Progress. During this time, around the mid-17th century, a wire loop was attached to the tip of a long wooden rod with running line used for casting and playing a hooked fish. This method is very similar to the Japanese method of fly fishing known as tenkara. This method has become extremely popular in the last few years in American fly fishing. As my grandfather always says about his holy genes, old trends always find their way back around. Anyways, this method intensified the need for storing line, which led to the invention of the fly reel, allowing anglers to cast further and approach trout and other game fish with even more stealth. Improved methods of fish hook making were implemented into the sport in the 1650s by Charles Kirby. He later invented the Kirby bend, which is a distinct hooked bend that is still used worldwide. Eventually, Kirby established factories in Redditch around 1730, which remains to this day to be one of the largest English hook manufacturers around. The modern reel design dates back to the 18th century England, and the predominant British reel of this time period was known as the Nottingham. By 1770, rods with guides for the line and a reel were in full swing. Around the same time, rod materials were undergoing major changes. There was a large shift from lancewood to greenheart from South America, and finally to bamboo, which remained the material of choice well past 1870. In my mind, fly fishing is a sport that is more than brute force. It's comprised of physics, biology, chemistry, and aesthetics. For example, fly fishing dynamics desire the need for the perfect combination of velocity and acceleration at a very precise motion in space. Regarding biology, you have to know the behavioral adaptations of trout. For example, their tendency is to face upstream in order to capture their prey. Chemistry and aesthetics come into play when you have to stitch together a realistic-looking fly. And after spending hours at your desk tying flies, you then have to coat them with a chemical that makes them water-resistant to assure that they stay afloat. Focus is also a large key of fly fishing. You have to feel the river through the short connection you have to the fly. You have to develop a relationship with the current, and then steer your fly into the holding areas of the fish for an extended period of time, while trying to get a drag-free cast every time. It's important to not be seen by the fish either, but it's even more imperative that you remain quiet and avoid any sort of collision within the water. Trout have senses way beyond our own capabilities. They have developed dual hearing systems on their head, as well as a lateral line organ along each side of their bodies. Their sense of smell well surpasses that of a bloodhound, and on the surface of their bodies, fins, and mouth, they have sensors that can taste and feel their food. With all this being said, from the rich history and the development of fly fishing to the intricate science behind the sport, and the simple idea of getting out of the house and enjoying the world God has given us dominion over, comes to show that fly fishing is more than a hobby. It's more than a sport. It's a complex art form that takes years to master. Psalms 139, verse 14 says, "I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well." This is the exact verse that came to my mind several weekends ago when I had the desire to get out of the city and go embrace the wonderful creation of God. As I was standing in the middle of Oak Creek in Sedona, with my worship music playing in the pocket of my waders, because I felt bad that I was skipping church to go fishing, I began to sob. Just tears of joy were running down my face. I was looking at the stream and the hillsides and the trees. I just realized truly how amazing God is. In the book, a river runs through it. The thesis of the novel is that there is no clear line between fly fishing and religion. This is the first time that I have ever experienced this epiphany out in the water. Fly fishers around the world frequently refer to this experience within the art form as being religious, spiritual, sacred, divine, and even calming. Essentially, these idealisms by fly fishermen tend to be the driving force behind the conservation of these sacred areas that God has intricately placed all over our world. In conclusion, fly fishing is more than a regular activity. It encompasses a wide variety of science, which is supported by a large array of literature and evidence that proves that this sport is a magnificent work of art. Thank you for listening. Have an amazing day, and God bless you.